Welcome to today's episode of the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network. And this week we are timed challenged. We've all been on different time zones working. And I just looked up a while ago and I told Cheryl and Brandy it's looked like I made a big boo-boo because I made this to start at 4 p.m. and we're going to start at 3 p.m. just as normal. So anyway, to those of you that are with us live, we appreciate you joining us today. And today we've got a really interesting episode, because we're going to talk about going to somewhere, which next week, all three of us are going to be traveling to Las Vegas, Nevada, go through another time change, which really challenges Brandy of all of us. And we'll be in Las Vegas next week at the National Chimney Sweep Guild Convention, which this will be the first time this has been held live since before the pandemic hit. So it's a really exciting time. So today we're going to talk about how to get the best return from your investment of both time and resources and funding for this visit. So Cheryl, what's your thoughts about today's topic we're going to talk about?
Hey, I've been going for a lot of years now. It seems like, and I'm really looking forward to it. A lot of it for the friendships that I've made over the many years, as we all here have. But there's so much knowledge that you can gain from I started to say older people, but then they'd have to talk to me. But it's just nice to see the younger generation coming in, and you take home so much. You get a camaraderie that, as much as we do online stuff, it's just nice to be able to see people again.
Yeah. Randy, what's your thoughts before we play the intro come into this thing today?
I've written down quite a few thoughts. I also really enjoy convention, and I think I've got a lot of great tips.
Okay, so great. So we're going to play the intro. Stick around with us. We'll be right back, and we really appreciate you being with us today. So after 2 years, that's right, 2 years of going through tremendous changes in the year 2022, we're now coming back to where people are meeting live in person, those type of things. It's also, Brandy and I have both been on the road this week. I've been on for several weeks now doing travel, going out and training people. And it's really great to get out and see people again. So anyway, we're going into the National Chimney Sweep Guild, their annual convention, which I've attended every year since 1986. And we're going to talk about how to get the value out of this visit, because yeah, it's going to be great to be able to see old friends. It's going to be great to be able to renew new relationships. But the bigger thing is, this is an educational venture. And hopefully you're going to come out of this with value for the time you've expended going out there and spent in the town of Las Vegas. Now, one thing is, there's a saying about Las Vegas, and it is that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But this is the key thought. Not when it comes to an educational event. You've got to bring the value out of this event and take the tactics, the things you're going to learn. So Brandy, let's go to you first. What you got on your list there today?
Well, first I want to know, because I don't know the history, and I know you know all the history. Has the convention ever been in Las Vegas before?
Has never been in Las Vegas before, no.
Okay, very good. So I'm going to start with before you get to convention. And, the nurse in me is going to have to come out. Take your vitamins, take your vitamin D, take your vitamin C. You're going to be around a whole lot of people. So make sure that you stay hydrated and healthy. Pack snacks. That way, if you can't find food and hopefully you're going to be going from class to class and keeping your schedule pretty busy, have some snacks ready to go. Volunteer. And this is probably, out of all of my suggestions, this is probably my biggest one. I've volunteered now for many years, scanning, checking in people at registration. And it's just really one of the best ways to get to see everybody and chat with them, get to know new people. So that's probably my biggest one. Eat for free. Now, this is my husband's, not mine. My husband swears when he goes to conventions, he was just at the HBPA, that his goal is to not spend any money on food and just to go to all of the offerings of free food.
Well, Brandy, I got to be the one to break this to you, okay? Your husband has a reputation for going to receptions that he was not invited to, okay? He gets this list of receptions together, and it's like, Jeremy, these are regional gatherings, and he likes to show up at all these different regional gatherings around there.
I won't even tell you some of the ones he's gone to in Kansas City that he wasn't invited to. Plan your classes. So you can get online now at NCSG Convention and look a list at all the offerings. So plan your classes. Make sure you come to Bob Fish and Ice class on Saturday. And dress up. So Wednesday night, I believe, will be the dress up night. The theme this year is from, what is the movie?
Circus. So it's supposed to be the greatest circus, the
Greatest Showman. Yeah, it's from the Greatest Showman. So pick a character. I've ordered my costume. It's being delivered tomorrow. And make sure that you dress up because it's just a lot of fun. Network. That one's tough for me. I can network in between classes and in classes, but I will tell you, my husband has said that he has learned so much over the years. Sometimes he has learned more just sitting up late at night talking to people than he has even in the classes. That's where you can get a lot of information. So make sure that you're networking and socializing. Okay, Jerry, these last two, they're really this one and the same are my favorite, which you know. Go to the trade show and get swag. Free ink pens, whatever you can find. And it doesn't even have to be for you. Our employees literally look forward to every year when we go to convention because we bring them back tons of swag and they get just as excited as I do.
Yeah. So, so you're learning about the Biswell family, okay, which is free food and swag. Okay. If you want to get their attention, then free food and swag. So, in our booth, we've got some poker chips that are imprinted. They're not going to be usable in the casino, but hey, we've got a few things. So we hope you drop by. But hey, Brandy has hit on some key points here.
I wanted to say something about those poker chips because I admit when you ordered them, I was thinking, oh, this is dumb. I was not a fan, but I have since taken them to many clients I visited. And just this week, one of the classes that I was doing, I passed them out. And I will tell you what, people just love fidgeting with those poker chips and they comment on it and they ask for more. So those poker chips are a hit.
Well, the poker chips, like I said, when I'll get one out in a minute and kind of show everybody what we're talking about here. But yeah, but Brandy's hit on some key things there, and most exhibitors do bring things like that to remember. So she's hit some key points. Cheryl, you've been going to conventions with me ever since we've been together. So what's your advice on this?
My main thing is just be open. Listen, I mean, I'm kind of like the other people, or like you said, Jeremy was, not the late night part. But I learned so much from sitting around in the halls and talking and just, is it socializing? Yes, but it's knowledgeable socializing. I remember many, many years ago when we used to sit and tell old war stories. Now most of the warriors, for lack of a better word, are aging out, and these new guys look at you like you've lost your mind when you start telling them. But I would say if you're a young person, go and listen to the older suites and see how things were many years ago. But yeah, except for the swag, I'm not on the swag thing like Brandy. But other than that, I'm pretty good with everything else you said.
That's it. So anyway, there's a CVC poker chip right there if you can see it. So drop in our booth. We got some, and the last shipment came in with a blue outline around them instead of a green outline. So, but anyway, and the great thing about this is, I carry a couple things in my pocket all the time, and I've always got some poker chips. So that's something you can actually have imprinted. I get mine from pokerchips.com, and they're imprinted with our logo. You can pick out your colors and order in different quantities. And just like Brandy said, it's something I know I give them out every time I'm doing a class. And this week, now she mentioned the guys were sitting there, gives them something. They're fine. They're picking around. They're on the tables or whatever. But like I said, Brandy's hit some key things, and I want to reinforce a couple of them. Number one, set up the classes you're going to go to. And this is going to be a challenge sometimes because there may be times that there are two classes going on simultaneously and you can't attend both of them. And I'm going to encourage you, go to the ones that you need the most. And sometimes I see this where, in a technical industry, blue collar like we're in, people go to the technical seminars, but they don't go to the ones that will help them build their business, the management level seminars. When Brandy talked about the seminar she's giving, Brandy, that's a health and safety seminar. Am I correct?
That's correct. Yes.
So what are you going to be talking about in there, Brandy?
So I give the credit to Bob Fish, first of all, because it's really his creation. He just asked if I would help teach it, but it's going to be a lot on heart disease and how to not age well, I guess we'll say. And then it's also going to go over a lot of first aid, and he's got some gruesome pictures. I was actually having my assistant today go through the slides, and she was like, "Oh, this is awful."
Yeah.
But and I did have two more thoughts, Jerry.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I had said socialize, but don't get drunk and act like a fool. Every year it seems like people do this, and you're there representing your company and your brand, so don't do that. And then the other one is don't lose steam. And what I mean by that is you go to this class, you get all pumped up, you're like, I'm going to do this and this and this when I get back. And then you get back and real life takes over and you get busy and you don't implement any of it. So make sure that before you leave, you set a goal to implement at least one or two of the things that you've learned there and actually follow through with it.
Right. And that's the neat thing. And Brandy, you hit it a while ago. And here in North Carolina, we always had a convention every year, the North Carolina convention that became the Southeast convention. But to be honest with you, I learned so much from sitting around and networking with other people. In fact, we in North Carolina, we have what we call the Hang Tight Club. In the Hang Tight Club, we would actually be talking till 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night and 1 and 2 in the morning. Right. And you wouldn't have fit into this, Brandy. Knowing that your sleep habits, this would have definitely not been something you would have been into. But to be honest with you, we solved the problems of the chimney sweep world in those networking meetings. And that's what you're going to find here. You may be a Facebook user, and if you're watching us right now, you probably are a Facebook user. So you've been looking at people that have made statements and talked about their businesses, whatever, on Facebook and the forums. Here you can seek those people out. You're not going to find anybody at this convention, I think, that will turn their back on you. If you ask them a question, one thing about this industry is people are so willing to share what works for them and what doesn't work. So you got a question about business, about a technical process, anything, you're going to have some of the best in the industry walking these halls. So the whole thing is, don't be afraid. Don't be scared to walk up and tell somebody, "Hey, I'm so and so. I've been watching this. Can I have a couple minutes and I'd like to go over and see how you do this or how you do that?" Because you're going to see a lot of the superstars in the industry. You want to know how to do certain processes? There's probably people here that are very successful at this. You want to know how to make sales? There's going to be people very successful with this. Even this guy right here that says we got a hardware issue. Now, Brandy, so you'll know, that's Katie Poole's husband right there. And he was telling me the other night, I met him and Katie and myself, Debbie Weedwald and Jim. We all had dinner together tonight.
I hope they brought that little cute boy.
Didn't bring him, but Jesse had said something the other week, and I'm going to hit Jesse with this because he's the one that hit it. I said, "Jesse, you were frustrated with Service Titan the other week. I saw you made a statement. So what's your problem, man?" And he said, "Well, Jerry, it's not really a software issue. It's a hardware issue." And he pointed at his head. So Jesse, you're the one that brought this up. So I just wanted to explain, when your video cut out, it might be your hardware issue again there, brother. But anyway, this is what you do. And speaking about that, his wife, Katie, is going to be doing a presentation. And this is going to be the first time she's ever presented in public. And she's going to talk about her failures in life and coming back to life financially. And it's her first time. I have spent a few minutes with her the other night trying to help her get relaxed about her presentation, all that kind of stuff. For the three of us walking on the stage, that's normal. We're used to it because, we do it all the time. But when you're doing it the first time, yeah, it's a shaky thought process. But that's what you're going to have. You're going to have people sharing their success secrets with you, what I call the secret sauce. So, Cheryl, what's your next thoughts on this?
Well, we go back so far in this that, we came from learning, like you said, sitting in the crowd and just guessing at what might would work. I think we're kind of glad when the statute of limitations passed on part of the things. But these kids that are coming in now don't know what they can learn at this convention. It's put on, it's basically for the techs, it's to show them ways that they do. We have leadership also, but it's to bring these people into the fold and let them be part of the brotherhood. And that's what the chimney service is. I mean, this is the one industry that if somebody has a problem, everybody pitches in to help. And that's really unusual in a lot of industries. So I love the camaraderie. I like the people there that are reaching their hands out to bring the young people up and bring them into the way that it's done. And I'm hoping I haven't looked completely. I hope somebody gets into the history. If it's nothing except sitting around the talking thing, but works into the history of the chimney service back 30 years ago when it was the good old boy thing, is what you called it. But
Yep.
that's what I'd like. That's what I think is most important about this type of a convention. It brings the young ones in and the old ones together to teach them.
Yep. And we appreciate those of you that are liking our broadcast today. Frank Matola, appreciate it. James Owens, appreciate you being there. And Tom Hunkel, who's the president of the National Chimney Sweep Guild. So, Tom, if there's any messages you'd like to put into the chat bar for people that are attending this convention next week, feel free to do that. If you've got anything you'd like to share with our audience about the value of this next week, because I know that you and your staff and your board, you've all been working, putting this thing together and really hoping this is something special that's going to come off this year. And you've got quite a variety of speakers. So again, as we look at this, if we look at the schedule that's up there, there's a pile of information that's going to be exchanged in these sessions. And yeah, it's going to be a challenge because there's going to come times. In fact, I'm presenting one on Friday, I believe, and it's about how to properly put virtual training to use. And at the same exact time, a friend of mine, Peter Hopkins, is going to be presenting how to utilize infrared cameras. And this is a presentation I'm going to really hate missing because I've been working with Peter for the last 2 years to put these new processes to work of how you use infrared IR cameras in chimney inspection work. And I think he's going to bring a lot to the table. But if you look at this whole thing, it is going to be a jam-packed couple days on this particular convention, and tremendous value that you can recoup your investment. But Brandy, I want to change this over to another side. We have people that will be attending that are bringing some of their workforce, but I know of several people that are bringing the entire company in there, which this is a very, very expensive trip for them when you figure they've got the salaries, the travel, the lodging, the convention registration, the meals, and everything else. So, Randy, let's take it to you were bringing the whole Flues force into this convention. How would you plan this to get the most value since you're investing in your entire team, which is shut your company down for the week? What's your advice to get the best value return from this convention?
I would definitely ahead of time look at the schedule and split the teams up, split the employees up between the classes, and then require that they share that knowledge that they learned, 3 or 4 key points from each class. And that's really the best case scenario, because then it's basically like you went to every class. So I would definitely do that. I would, again, we're in Vegas. I would just put some parameters around them about a curfew. And just put some rules in place. Myself and one of my employees are traveling to a convention next month, and we'll make sure that we have some guidelines set for us. But definitely just make sure that you're taking advantage of that. Don't send all 20 employees to one class, because that's not really beneficial. Split them up.
Yeah. So Cheryl, what about you?
I agree with Brandy. I mean, when you're taking a complete company, there has to definitely be some rules, especially in Vegas. But the thing is it's all about the knowledge, and so they need to grasp as much as they can. Put them in the best classes you can do, but go to classes yourself as the owner. You go to the business class and you don't need the technical stuff anymore. You need to learn how to work on your business instead of in it. I see many business owners sitting in the technical class, and to each their own, but I think we have enough leadership classes that they should go to their own this year.
Right. And I'm going to give a couple ideas also here. Number one, instruct your people, don't sit together in a class. Separate and sit in separate spots if they're in the
And
same
network.
class. Okay.
Yes.
The second thing I'm going to recommend is they're going to be eating breakfast. Have a morning breakfast together and turn this into a morning debriefing. In the afternoon, the evening, have another short debriefing. Require your people to take notes. Okay. If they come out of a classroom and they haven't taken notes, now here's the whole thing about taking notes. The notes are not necessarily to review later. The reason you take notes is it impregnates the information into your mind better. Next thing is ask questions. Most of the speakers are going to allot some time for questions and answers. Don't be afraid to get up and ask a question. There is no stupid question. The only stupid question is the question that you don't ask. So make sure you go in to do these things. But like Brandy said, Las Vegas has a lot of outside interest, folks. Okay, let's get real about this. So you kind of got to lay the ground rules of attending this and what you expect your people to do because they're going to be walking right through a casino. There's going to be all kinds of things outside of the hotel. And if you've never been to Vegas, there are a lot of things that will draw your interest on the street. And like I said, you're going to figure out real quickly, Brandon, you ain't in Kansas no more when you get off that plane in Vegas and you run straight into slot machines as soon as you get off. It will be a different world. Now, Tom and Hunko, President of the Guild, has added something here. I want to put that up for Tom. The NCSG team has put together an event that will have something for everybody. We're excited to see the number of attendees. We're all about the education, but we're also about building the bonds of friends that will give this event and give everybody new insight into being more successful. So, Tom, I appreciate you posting that. If you've got anything else as president of the guild, please post it on here. We'll be more than happy to share it with our audience here, and it'll be up on all the replays. So, Brandy, what else is in your mind today about the value of this?
Well, Tom, when Tom said that, it just reminded me of something. Just if you see Easton or Brittany or Tom or any of the board members in the hall, just make sure you thank them because, they're just coming off of their busy seasons as well. And they have put a whole lot of time, a whole lot of volunteer hours into this. You just can't imagine all the work that goes into a convention. So make sure that you say thank you.
Okay. Cheryl, what about you?
Well, the one thing I left out earlier that I'd like to say to the owners or the managers of the company, lead by example here, literally. Um, it depends where you want them to go, but lead by example. So that would be my top notch one, especially when we're back on the taking crew. It just kind of dawned on me that might be a good one. But yeah, these conventions, I mean, Jerry, we've gone for a lot of years. You've been in different positions in the guilds. And I've seen how the backside of these work, and these people are exhausted by the end of the week. So reach out to them, let them know that you're appreciating it. Not that nobody expects you to say thank you.
Yeah.
But bring them, tell them what you think. But again, lead by example and enjoy yourself. That's the next thing because the convention can be extremely enjoyable if that's where you want it to be.
Right. Now, in addition to being a convention going on this week, There's also part of the NCSG job study is going to be occurring on Monday afternoon and into Tuesday, I believe. And this is going to be the second meeting of subject matter experts. And these people are joining together to assemble the test questions for the new accredited NCSG CCP certification on the three levels. Now, when you look at this, I want you to understand this is a very, very deep, involved project, and it involves a group of people that are assisting the guild called psychometricians. So, what's going to happen here in this process is the psychometricians are going to oversee this assembling of the test and making sure that the questions are good. Number two, that they are properly worded for maximum understanding. This is part of what accreditation does. It
And
delivers.
unbiased, Jerry.
Yeah,
I would add that.
yeah, go ahead. So, Brandy, you've been involved as I have. We've worked on the committee that has put this entire certification process together, serving and help and assisting the Guild doing this. On this accreditation process, are you excited about this? What's your thoughts on this accreditation process? And Tom, if you have anything to add to this, again, put it in the chat, please, sir. Go ahead, Brandy.
Oh, I'm super excited. As I've said a million times, this is a huge game changer for our industry. And speaking to the unbiased, if we didn't have these psychometricians and we didn't have this accreditation committee, there would be biases of the people that were making the questions, whatever those may be. These are neutral parties that are there to ensure that they're not biased and to ensure, like, as you said, that they're very well written. So I couldn't be more excited. I wish we could kind of fast forward really quickly to the time when it's already accredited.
Yes, it is. But it's a very deep, involved process, and the NCSG is investing very heavily into this process to build this process. And even this group of people that are going to be meeting on Monday, these people were hand selected by a committee, and they were selected for various reasons. Some of them are very experienced. I hate to say this, but older members of the industry. They've been around for a lot of years. We also have younger members that don't have that much experience in the industry. Well, they're involved with this. We were also very concerned they have an equal representation of male and female. So the representation matches what the industry is holding for the number of women that are in the industry, again, to give a right question. And a lot of these folks have already been working on putting their test questions together over the last week to prepare for this thing on Monday, because the mission is to come out of this meeting on Monday with a whole bank of questions that will be put into a computer, and it'll kind of be like a roulette wheel spin when it gets done. So what it does is that computer will select that maybe you'll answer like 8% of the questions will be on health and safety areas. Maybe 8% will be on fuel oil, another 10% on gas, a percentage on relining, a percentage on all this. And this was based on the industry surveys that were recently done. This is something that the committee doesn't put together. In fact, as a trainer, neither myself or Brandy are even allowed to be in the subject matter experts, because trainers are not allowed to be into there, because it is the people on the industry that put this together, not the trainers and that kind of stuff. So again, there's a lot going on. You can also go in. If you want to see how the NCSG works, you can actually go in and attend the board meeting. It doesn't mean you're going to be voting in the board meeting, but you can actually go in and observe how the NCSG is governed, what's called the governance. And maybe you're a person that's interested in becoming some of this leadership and learn how. So Tom just posted something here. Great point on the selection process for the SME program. And SME stands for the Subject Matter Expert Program. It was open and fair and includes a broad range of industry professionals. Now, folks, I want to make a point of this. This has never been done in the chimney industry before. This is all groundbreaking new stuff that's going to raise the expertise up of the industry and make it more recognized by related industries such as home inspectors, realtors, the insurance industry, all types of people. So, Cheryl, what other thoughts do you have on this trip to Las Vegas next week?
Oh, I don't know. Las Vegas, I'll break it down, is not one of my favorite spots, but it's maybe it's a little too speedy for me. I'm not sure, but I think it'll show some of these other people's a place they may not have seen. But they're the only thing that I can say, and this is to Tom and all the people that worked with him. I've never seen this much put into this industry before, as many years as I've ever been here. They have dug deeper than any other group that we have had in 30 years.
Right.
So kudos to them. I just want to make sure I get that out, that I am so proud of them.
Right. And one thing to do, so you're aware, there's a couple groups of people that help put this on. Number one is a lot of the volunteers that help, because that's one of the things we see. People step up to the plate. Brandy, you're one of them. You volunteer. There's different jobs that help out to make this roll out. And another part is the trade show people, the people that have bought these booths. Now, folks, let me share with you. Exhibiting in a trade show hall is not inexpensive. It can be an extremely expensive proposition, because these people are, number one, they're paying for a booth. Number two, they're paying for someone to bring the booth in, what's called the drayage. They're paying for, many times, the furnishings and renting them to go into their booth. They're paying for the electricity to power the things they have in the booth, and
The
they're
swag.
paying. Yeah,
Mhm.
and they're paying a fee for internet service when you see that being used. So be aware. This is your chance. This is your opportunity to speak to the people that you do business with. If you have a problem, this is a time to speak face to face with the people that supply. But keep your eyes open. Go through the trade show. Look at all the products that will be there. Yeah, grab you some Brandy SWAT, okay? In fact, you can go around. If you're listening to me right now, you walk up to that booth and you said, Brandy Biswell told me that you got SWAT somewhere in this booth, and I want my SWAT. But the
Swag.
so the bigger thing is, get the information while you're there. You're going to see products displayed that you may want to know about. You're going to be able to talk to some of the experts when I look at it. Folks, you walk up and hunt up Tom Urban in that trade show booth. He's just not a manufacturer. This guy was sweeping chimneys in the year 1978, probably after a lot of people were, before they were even born. They're going to be walking in that show in there. Tom just put up another post. I'm going to share it here. Absolutely. Volunteerism is an all-time high, and we, the board, can never thank enough for that support. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate your adding in here, and I appreciate you being on here today. So we're going to head towards the end of today's broadcast. Cheryl, anything you want to add in before we cut out of here today?
The main thing I want to do is tell people to be sure to come if you can, and enjoy it. Learn what you can and go home. The main thing, put what you learn to use.
That's key. Randy, anything you want to add? What's your parting words?
I would just say, going back real quick to the subject matter experts, not only do they come from a broad range of experience, they also come from all across the United States, because we don't all do things the same depending on where we live. I would say check the weather, because I don't know about you guys, but Vegas is usually a lot hotter than Kansas City. I would say seek out a mentor, and then also make sure that you're contributing. And then I have a question for you and Cheryl, and that is, I want to know, what was your favorite all-time convention and why?
Okay, I'll give mine. 1987. I've actually talked about this in seminars, because in 1987, I heard a guy speak in Louisville, Kentucky, and his name was Paul Rodillo. And I'm sure that Paul has passed away at this point, because that was some years ago, and he was not a young spring chicken at that point. But Paul presented a seminar that was asked the question, would you work for you? Would you work for you? And Brandy, of all the seminars I've ever sat in my career, which has been a lot, this was one of the most influential moments for me. But there were others. I can remember my dear departed friend Steve Blackburn in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, came up and did a presentation, and it was on call scripting. And from listening to Steve that day, I went home and it was like I have gotten value out of this from that one idea right there. And to this day, I still share with people how to build their call scripting. I've had a lot of memorial experiences. I was president of a group for 6 years, which meant, and that's when Cheryl first started coming, was when I was president. And there was a lot of work went into these. But the bigger thing, Brandy, I'll be honest with you, I think that this industry is one that looks at each other as family almost. I mean, when you look at it, if a member of this industry passes away, there's some really nice things that are usually said about that individual and what's there. So a lot of times, I'll be honest with you, Brandy, when I go to a convention today, I can remember the last convention where I talked to Pete Luter, and he was killed shortly thereafter. And that's the whole thing. This could be, the last time you may see someone that's a dear friend or whatever. So there's a lot of them that stand out to me in my career of what I've heard. And the other thing is, I hope that the presentations I do, just like you do, I hope they will change someone's outlook, that they will change the way that they do business to benefit them. And Tom says it's 80 all week. Bring your shorts. So feel free to dress. There is no official dress code to go into there. So, hey, if shorts are what you're comfortable with and flip flops, hey, you can do that. Cheryl may have to stop me wearing my flip flops when I do my presentation. So, Cheryl, answer Brandy's question from your viewpoint.
Well, mine takes on a whole new curve from yours because of you're heading on one way, but mine deals with Pete Luter. Uh, the year Pete brought the pig, and and you thought I bought the pig for you. That could never be changed. To seeing the faces of the people and everyone there knowing that I didn't buy the pig for you, but you didn't.
Wait,
Yep.
who bought the pig?
Okay, so here's the pig story, Brandy. You've never heard the pig story?
I've heard about it, but I didn't know you guys bought it, and I love mini
We
pigs,
didn't
so-
buy it.
Oh.
Well, you
it.
want me to tell it because you're biased.
Well, I'll lead up to it. Pete
Okay.
Luter always had something in his mind. So we were in Myrtle Beach, and Pete shows up with a little pig in a tutu and checks into the hotel and asks the hotel desk clerk, what's your pig policy? Now, Brandy, do you know of any hotel in America that has a pig policy?
I don't know, but I love it.
Okay, so the pig policy, they didn't have a pig policy. So Pete and Emily checked into the hotel and they go up to their room and they put the pig in the bathroom for a place to stay, okay? Because let's face it, the piglet is not going to be real neat. So the pig goes into the bathtub and the pig stays there for the convention. And then we have the banquet. And I'll let Miss Cheryl tell the rest of the story from the banquet, but I will add this. I was out in the hallway networking with other people, and somebody came out and told me, you better get in there. Your wife's buying that pig right now.
I actually did not have my number. I had one of a fellow Sweet's number, and he told me I could run it up to like $200, and $200 was the first two bids, and then he kept shaking his head and telling me to go up. And Jerry's sitting there, and I cannot use the words Jerry was whispering in my ears about the pig. I will just say he was not impressed at buying the pig. And every time he would say, don't buy it, I'd throw that big card up again. And I don't think he has ever been that mad at me in my whole life. And
So who got the pig? Was it the guy you were bidding with?
No, yeah, we got the pig. Well, we bought the pig for an exorbitant amount of money. Then we go to the convention, the banquet. Then they have a thing of another bid to save the pig. And then so someone bought the pig and they gave it to another suite that took the pig home that had a farm. And we never heard about the pig again. I'm assuming it was bacon a couple years later.
Now, don't you guys play some pig game? I thought I'd been in rooms where there's like some.
They
Did that
used
have
to,
anything to do with the pig?
no, it had nothing to do. That's something they play. They rolled. They have some game up in the Northeast called pigs that they played with dice and other things out there like that. So, but anyway, so you'll know Jack Pixley, who's no longer with us. He was the guy that put her up to doing this. The pig sold for $2,000. And then the pig after that, the Save the Pearl fund went up to about $1,000 to save Pearl, and then that was Lucky Dale, who's no longer with us, and Lucky Dale went back to North Augusta, South Carolina. The pig's name was Pearl the Pig, okay, and it was Save Pearl, Save the Pig fund that was raised up. But yeah, there's been some exciting times. Like Brandy, I don't know if you know it or not, but I used to have a ponytail. They auctioned off my ponytail and cut it right there in an auction one night. Okay. So
We sold Renee's hair.
yeah, so we've sold hair, but it was all for good causes raised for charity. So there's been a lot of things I can go back to. When we went into Hershey, Pennsylvania, and some of us sat in the snow, and the Hershey constables showed up. They shut the bar down, thought we were tearing up the hotel and all that
That
stuff.
was my second favorite.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of things over the years. But again, if you've been listening to us, if you're going to be at the convention, like my friend James Owens just pasted up there, James is going to convention, and James is, he's getting involved in the guild and some things there. He's involved in this accreditation process, the subject matter expert. So he'll be in that meeting on Monday. But the thing is, if you're going, make sure this is a time of value. If you're bringing your people in, you're making an investment into this. Make this investment play off for you. Learn tricks of the trade. Learn things that you can put together. And like I said, bring it home. And the key thing is implement it. If you come home with great ideas and you don't implement anything, folks, I hate to say this, you just wasted a week of your life and probably a considerable sum of money to go visit Las Vegas. So don't listen to what Vegas' motto is. What happens in Vegas, in this case, take it home and put it to work for you. So we appreciate you joining us this week on the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network. Since we'll be at the convention next week, we won't be doing a show next Friday, but we'll look forward to having you with us on the following week. Appreciate you joining us. Let us know how we can help you at CBC Success Group help turn your business dreams into your business realities. We'll all three be in Las Vegas. So reach out to us. Let us know if you'd like to have a conversation. Okay. And with that, we'll see you next time on a future episode of The Chimney